Monkey Man is now out, and you're probably thinking, is it the best action movie of 2024? Well, let's find out right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. As I said in the intro, I'll be reviewing Monkey Man today. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about this one. Before we get started, though, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 600 subscribers. Helps a lot. I'm going to read you guys a quick plot synopsis just so you know what the movie is about. An anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and powerless. Alright, before we get into the nitty-gritty details of Monkey Man, I did want to talk about Dev Patel because this is basically his movie, his baby, his first movie that he's ever made. You know, it's his directorial debut. But I've always been, quite a big fan of Dev Patel. You know, some of his movies I don't really like as much as his other movies, but I always think that he gives a great performance in whatever he's doing. And I think that he was great in The Green Knight, which was, one of the first, major movies I saw when theaters were finally coming back online. Theaters were finally coming back. And what is that? What is that? The summer 2020, summer 2021, something like that, when theaters were finally coming back. That was one of the first movies I saw with him in it. And I didn't know what the hell happened in that movie, to be really honest with you, but I loved, the cinematography of that movie, and I loved Dev Patel's performance. And what's funny about Dev Patel, I always forget, but then I looked at his, what he was in before, writing the notes for this review, and I saw that I finally remember that he was in the M. Night Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation, that movie, as Prince Zuko, which is crazy to think about, because if you watch that movie, it doesn't really look like him, because that movie, if you think about it, that movie was made a long time ago, and Dev Patel was actually pretty young. He was probably like a teenager still when that movie was made, when he was filming that, so he looks a lot different. But it's crazy to see his career trajectory from that film to now to this film. As I said, this is his directorial debut, and it's his baby of a movie, which is insane. It's going to be insane to think about, insane to kind of look back on this film when he probably does more films after this. I'm hoping that he does direct more films after this. Like, it's crazy to have your directorial debut be a huge action movie like this. But it's crazy to think about. It's actually a great movie also. It's crazy for it to be an action movie, but also a great movie at the same time. It's unheard of to have both of those happen in the same sentence. Like, you never really have that. Some people have their directorial debut be a very big movie, but it's never a great movie. And some people have their directorial debut be a great movie, but it's a smaller movie. But this is a huge scale action epic, but it's also a great movie at the same time. So I'm very happy for Dev Patel. I saw when this premiered at South by Southwest, he got a big standing ovation, got pretty emotional. Man, he deserves it. He's been working pretty hard for his career. And like, as I said, with his future, I'm hoping that he does direct more movies, because he was hitting on all cylinders with here. And hopefully in 10 years we get to look back and see, all of his different movies. Maybe in like 10 or 15 years he'll have directed like 5 movies by now. Hopefully he has a great run like this one. I don't know if I'd want to do another action movie, maybe go down to a different genre. I feel like he could do a pretty good horror movie. I don't know though. Maybe another action movie before a different genre. We'll have to see about that one. And also his performance was great. He's of course the lead of the film, our Monkey Man. Killed it with those hand-to-hand action sequences. I was like, man, it's beating everyone up, especially in that first and third act. I was like, this guy is killing it. I thought he did a great job directing it, and his performance was easily the biggest standout of the movie. And I will say the soundtrack was also quite good. There are a few songs in here, not a lot, so don't go in expecting a lot, like a lot of needle drops in Godzilla X Kong that just released a couple weeks ago. But the ones that they picked were quite great, and I was bopping my head up and down for a couple of scenes. Really fit with the movie for what they were going for here. And the action, of course, is a big action movie you've seen from the trailers. This is easily the best action movie of the year, but was it hard to do that? No. I mean, what other competition did it have? It had The Beekeeper. I don't even know all the action movies. I have to go back to my list. I think it was The Beekeeper was the best action movie of the year until this, but it's probably going to be pretty hard to top this one for all the competition coming out this year. Furiosa might be the only one that can go head to head with this movie, because I don't know, what other action movies do you have? I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, I guess that is considered an action movie, but this one will have that, standard. I mean, the Fall Guy too, but I don't know, is that, yeah, actually, yeah, but this is the best action movie of the year so far, let's just say that. And the action in here was great. You have a bathroom fight in here, and that was great. I loved how that bathroom fight was done. And the third act went heavy on the action, and I was loving it and how it was choreographed. But I will say some of the minor complaints on the action was that, the camera work wasn't the best. Some of it was a little hard to follow because the shaky cam, and some of it was a little out of focus. So that's my one major complaint on the action, but I think you'll get better with that. how he'll have more, he'll have more control over that in his other films that he hopefully directs after this. And people are gonna draw John Wick comparisons to this. People have been calling it Indian John Wick, but which I think is a little disrespectful. I don't think that you can go around calling this Indian John Wick. It's about the culture, all that culture and all that. So you really shouldn't call it Indian John Wick. There is a little, they do mention John Wick in the movie, so that's pretty cool of him to do that. He said he was a fan of the movies. This is its own thing though, so I don't think that people should be calling it John Wick ripoff, Indian John Wick. That's not what it is. It's, Monkey Man. This is Monkey Man. It's his own thing. There have been, John Wick wasn't it's an original story, and this really doesn't follow John Wick at all. Like in John Wick 1, he's already an established, like, good fighter and all this. In this, Dev Patel's character really starts out, as a fighter, but is he a great fighter? No, he still has to get good at that. He still has to harness all this strength and go through training and all that. So it's not even the same thing. So don't even compare him. But, Dev Patel is a fan of those movies, and I think, if Keanu Reeves saw this one, I think he'd be a fan of this one too. So support both of them. I think this one's great. And the lighting of this movie, I thought the lighting was great. A simple compliment to the movie, but it's something that I really noticed when watching the movie is how the lighting looks, what kind of lights you got in here, some red, some, different neons in here. But I thought the lighting was great. It's not really overexposed, but I thought it was just really well done. Cinematography was also quite beautiful, and it made it have more style and flavor, especially for a directorial debut. But I will say, I've said all this positive about the movie. I have to get to my biggest critique about this movie. With it still being great, I will say the pacing was easily the worst part about this movie. And that usually isn't a big complaint for others, but for me, pacing means a lot because I'm sitting in that theater and I go into a movie, I'm thinking, this movie's only like 2 hours long, so it shouldn't feel that long, but at some points in this movie felt like they were going on for a little too long, and that's when a movie starts to really lose a couple points for me, is when that pacing does fall off. But I will say the first and third act, the pacing was really well done, and I thought that pacing there was really great. But then you get to the second act where it starts to really slow down, really, stops at a halt for me, because they have to go through a lot of cultural stuff in this part, and they go through a lot of flashbacks in this part, which I think do have a lot of meaning here, but I think that maybe they could have been, they could have been used in other places, or they could have been told this part of the story a little bit faster, because I think that second act really did slow down the movie a little bit too much, because you were going in blazing fast in that first act. Like, you're going really fast, then you get to one part where it stops because it just slows down just too much for me, and I thought that really hurt the film as a whole. But it probably won't hurt the film a lot for other people, but the pacing is really big for me. But luckily it did pick back up in the third act, where a lot more action does happen, that big action sequence in the third act. So that is my biggest complaint of this movie. But overall, Monkey Man is easily the best action movie of the year, a great movie. Some people were really doubting this movie. My friend who I went with to go see this was doubting it. He was like, I don't know if it's gonna be great, but he ended up really liking it. So if you're down the trailers, I think you'll really like the movie. As I said, best action movie of the year. I thought it was great directorial debut from Dev Patel. Really happy for what he's doing here. Great performance by him. Some great action sequences in here too. Love the lighting, love the cinematography in here. It's a beautiful film. Hopefully Dev Patel does direct some other films after this. Looking forward to what he does. I'm going to keep my eye on him to see if he does another action film, does different genre. But I really did love this film a lot. I think it did a lot of things right. Pacing was the only bad thing it had, but I'm still going to give Monkey Man a strong 8.5 out of 10. I really did enjoy this one a lot. It has a lot of strong scenes in here. Let me know, did you guys see Monkey Man? If you did, leave your thoughts down below in the comments. If you did enjoy my review though, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.